You ever reach that point where you realize your family doesn't see you? Not really? They just see what you can do for them? That moment hit me one Tuesday night and it changed everything. My name's Judith Lane. I'm 32, and for months I'd been the engine behind my sister's dream wedding, planning every detail like it was my own. I'd built a career as an event designer in Knoxville, Tennessee. So when Stacy got engaged, I promised I'd make her big day unforgettable. Turns out it would be, just not for the reason she hoped. Picture this. I'm lugging boxes of decorations across our backyard, paint smudged on my jeans, sweat trickling down my back. The buffet menu for 150 guests. My idea? The floral arch under the oak trees? My hands built it. The playlist that was supposed to make people cry during the vows? I spent nights fine-tuning it. This wedding was my gift, my way of showing love. Then came the night that undid it all. I got home late, arms full of fabric swatches, the kind of tired that makes your bones ache. The house was quiet except for low voices drifting from the living room. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I just froze when I heard my father's voice. "Judith'll handle the kids," Dad said, casual as a shrug. "It'll save us from hiring babysitters," Mom added. And then Stacy, my sister, laughed. "Yeah, she's always up for anything. 12 kids won't be a problem." 12 kids? I stood halfway up the stairs, heart pounding. They weren't even asking me, just assigning me. Me, the unpaid planner, decorator, and now the babysitter. Without a single please. I remember gripping the banister until my knuckles turned white. To them, I wasn't Judith the professional, the woman who'd spent months making their day shine. I was just convenient. The reliable one. The helper. I crept upstairs, shut my bedroom door, and stared at the wedding binder spread across my desk. Pages of color swatches, seating charts, vendor contacts. My handwriting was everywhere. My life had been consumed by this event, and for what? So they could dump more on me and smile while doing it? Something inside me cracked, quietly, but deep. I sat on my bed, replaying every moment I'd been the family fixer. Every call from Dad to fix his tech issues. Every errand Mom didn't have time for. Every time Stacy cried, and I was the one who stayed up with her until dawn. I'd built my role as the glue of this family, and they'd learned to use it. Not this time. That night, I made a decision that scared me more than anything, but it also thrilled me. I wasn't going to show up, not as their helper, not as their backup plan, not as their anything. The next morning, I texted my best friend Carol to meet me downtown. She's been my sounding board since college. Blunt, loyal, and the kind of friend who doesn't let you lie to yourself. When I slid into our booth at the coffee shop, I was still shaking. My wedding binder sat beside my latte, like a ghost of the life I was about to bury. I told her everything, how my family had plotted to make me their babysitter, how they'd never once said thank you. When I finished, Carol didn't say, "I'm sorry." She just looked me dead in the eye and said, "That's not family, Judith. That's exploitation." Her words hit like a cold slap, the kind that wakes you up. "What are you going to do about it?" she asked. For a second, I didn't know. Then I did. The words left my mouth before I even processed them. "I'm done." "I'm not going to the wedding," Carol raised an eyebrow, half surprised, half impressed. "Then make it count." I opened my laptop right there and started with the biggest domino, the catering contract. One phone call, and months of menu planning vanished into thin air. "Hi, this is Judith Lane. I need to cancel the buffet order for the Lane wedding this Saturday." "Yes, all of it," the manager hesitated, asked why. I kept my tone cool. "Personal reasons," I said, and hung up. Then came the decorations. The fairy lights, the custom centerpieces, the rented linens, all canceled. I told the vendors to send every invoice straight to George Lane, my father. Each call felt like peeling off layers of obligation I didn't realize I was buried under. When I was done, Carol reached across the table, her hand over mine. "You're really doing this," she said, voice low. "Yeah," I whispered. "For once, I'm choosing me." That night, I booked a suite at a boutique hotel downtown, one with a rooftop bar and a view of the river. My escape plan, no guilt, no second thoughts, just freedom. By Friday, the house was buzzing with wedding chaos, calls, deliveries, last-minute errands. I stayed quiet, working on a client proposal for a corporate gala instead. Nobody suspected a thing. Not Mom, not Dad, not Stacy. And when Saturday, the wedding day, arrived, I was gone. The hotel suite felt like another planet. White sheets, soft jazz in the background, sunlight spilling through floor-to-ceiling windows. I wrapped myself in a robe, brewed coffee, and stood on the balcony overlooking the Tennessee River. Across town, my family was probably running through checklists, barking orders, thinking I was setting up the tables. My phone started buzzing, Stacy's name flashing on the screen. I let it ring twice before picking up. "Judith, where the hell are you?" she screamed. I could hear chaos behind her, shouting, clattering, crying. The caterer's gone, the tables are bare, and the kids are running wild. I leaned back in my chair, savoring my coffee. "You didn't ask me to help," I said calmly. "Remember? You just assumed," she sputtered, furious. "We need you here. This is my wedding." "Then maybe you should have treated me like family," I said, and hung up. 10 minutes later, Dad called. His voice had that command tone he used when I was a kid. "Get to the park right now, Judith. Fix this mess." I pictured him red-faced, tie crooked, surrounded by chaos. "You made this mess," I told him. "You and Mom decided I'd be your errand girl. Not anymore." And I ended the call. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for saying no. I felt free. That afternoon, I booked a massage, turned off my phone, and let the silence wash over me. No one calling my name, no one demanding a favor, just peace. I spent the evening on the rooftop bar, watching the city lights shimmer on the river. Somewhere out there, my sister's perfect wedding was unraveling, and for once, it wasn't my job to fix it. I didn't know what the fallout would be, but deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. The morning after the wedding, my phone was buried under a pile of unread messages, voicemails, texts, missed calls. I didn't need to open them to know what they said. The silence in my hotel suite was its own kind of music. I poured myself another cup of coffee, sat by the window, and stared at the sunlight bouncing off the Tennessee River. Yesterday, my family's perfect wedding had imploded without me. And for once, it wasn't my responsibility to fix anything. When I finally turned my phone on, the notifications hit all at once. 37 missed calls. 11 voicemails. One from Mom, one from Dad, 3 from Stacy, and several from unknown numbers. I tapped on one, just out of curiosity. "Judith, please." Mom's voice trembled through the speaker. "We need to talk. You can't just do this to your sister. Do this to her. Not for myself." That said it all. The next one was Dad's voice, colder. "You embarrassed this family, Judith." Everyone was there. "Do you understand how this makes us look?" I closed my eyes, exhaled slowly. They weren't sorry. They were humiliated, and that was their real concern. Then came a text from a number I didn't recognize. Pamela Russell. That wedding was a disaster. No food, no decorations, kids everywhere. "You did the right thing. They should have respected you." Pamela, one of Mom's friends. A woman who never sugarcoated anything. I almost laughed. Even she saw it. A second later, another text popped up. My cousin Matthew. "I messed up, Judith." I should have spoken up when Dad started planning all that. But I told him off today. "He's furious." My lips curved into a small, tired smile. At least one person in that family still had a conscience. As the hours passed, more snippets of the disaster trickled in. Pamela texted again later that afternoon. "Your sister was screaming at some poor vendor. Your dad was fighting with the bank over a catering charge. And your mom kept telling guests everything was fine while kids trashed the park. It was chaos." I could almost see it. The folding chairs toppled, the tablecloths gone, the buffet tables empty. The perfect Lane family image, unraveling in real time. But I didn't feel joy. Just peace. For once, the consequences belonged to the people who caused them. 2 days later, I checked out of the hotel and drove home. The air felt different, lighter somehow. My front porch looked the same, but I didn't. I'd barely set my bags down when the doorbell rang. My heart thudded once. Through the peephole, Stacy. Her hair was pulled back tight, her face pale and drawn. I opened the door, leaning against the frame, tea still in my hand. "We need to talk," she said flatly. She brushed past me into the living room like she owned the place. I didn't stop her. I just crossed my arms. "Yesterday was a disaster," she started, her voice shaking. "You didn't show up, and everything fell apart. We were counting on you." I raised an eyebrow. "Counting on me? You mean using me?" Her expression flickered. Confusion, guilt, anger. All of it. "Judith, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for it to go like that. We just thought you'd handle the kids because you're good at everything." I laughed, short, bitter. Good at everything? Or good at cleaning up everyone's messes for free? "Come on," she said, lowering her voice. "We're family. Can't we just move past this?" That word, family, used to mean something warm. Now it sounded like manipulation. "Family doesn't treat one person like a servant," I said. "You, Mom, and Dad made a decision about my time, my life, without even asking me. You didn't want my help. You wanted my obedience." Stacy looked stunned, like she'd never seen me angry before. Maybe she hadn't. "We were just stressed, Judith." "You know how weddings are." I cut her off. Don't make excuses. "You thought I'd do it all, smile and thank you for the privilege." Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't soften. "Not this time. Mom and Dad are saying you ruined everything," she whispered finally. I took a breath, calm and steady. "No, Stacy. They ruined it when they decided I wasn't a person, just a tool." The words hung heavy in the air. She stood there for a long second, twisting her hands, searching for something to say. When she realized she had nothing, she turned and left. The door clicked shut behind her, echoing through the quiet house. I sank onto the couch, my heart hammering. But instead of regret, I felt relief. Pure, unshakable relief. A few minutes later, my phone rang again. This time, the name on the screen made me smile. Aunt Beatrice. My dad's sister, the one relative who'd never bought into the family's perfect image. "Judith," she said when I answered, her tone firm but kind. "I was at that wedding. It was a circus. I couldn't help but laugh." "That bad?" "Worse. And let me tell you something. They had it coming. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself." Her words hit like a balm, soothing something I hadn't realized was still raw. "You did the right thing," she continued. "They've leaned on you your whole life and you finally said no. Don't let them guilt you now." I felt a tear slip down my cheek, but I smiled through it. "Thanks, Aunt B. I really needed to hear that." We talked for a while, about the reception chaos, about Dad's temper, about how Mom tried to smile through the embarrassment. Beatrice said guests had started leaving before dinner was even served. "The thing is," she said softly, "they're finally seeing what happens when they take you for granted." After the call, I sat for a long time just staring at the ceiling. For years I'd been the peacekeeper, the fixer, the one who made everything look easy. But it had cost me my time, my energy, my self-worth. That night, I opened my laptop and stared at a blank document for a while before typing Lane Events at the top of the page. My own event company, I'd been dreaming about it for months but never dared to start. I always thought I needed my family's approval, their validation. Not anymore. The next week, I rented a small office downtown, nothing fancy but full of light. I bought a secondhand desk, pinned mood boards on the walls, and made my first few client calls. It felt terrifying and electric all at once. My first gig was a 25th anniversary party for a couple who'd found me through a friend. They trusted me completely, gave me creative control, and paid me what I was worth. The night of their event, as fairy lights glowed and laughter filled the air, I realized something. I could build beauty for people who respected it. Meanwhile, word of the wedding disaster spread like wildfire through Knoxville's gossip circles. My father's reputation as the perfect host was in ruins. His coworkers whispered about it at meetings. My mother's friends stopped inviting her to brunch. And Stacy? She'd stopped posting pictures altogether. Aunt Beatrice filled me in over coffee one afternoon. "They're still licking their wounds," she said, stirring her drink. "They borrowed money to cover the catering bill. George is furious, Elizabeth's humiliated, and your sister won't talk to anyone." I sipped my coffee, quiet for a moment. "I didn't want to hurt them," I said softly. "I just wanted them to respect me." "They had every chance to," she replied. "You didn't burn that bridge." "They did." Her words settled deep inside me. For the first time in years, I felt rooted, steady in who I was. But peace doesn't always last. The following week, as I locked up my office one evening, I saw a familiar figure waiting by my car. A man in a gray suit, his arms crossed, jaw tight. Dad. And he didn't look like he came to apologize. The late afternoon light stretched across the parking lot, golden and soft. But nothing about that moment felt warm. Dad stood by my car, arms folded, his expression carved from stone. The same look he used when I was a kid and he was about to deliver a lecture I couldn't escape. For a heartbeat, I considered getting back in the building and locking the door. But then I took a slow breath, straightened my shoulders, and walked toward him. "Judith," he said as soon as I got close. Not a greeting. "A warning." "Dad?" I replied, unlocking my car with a click. "If you're here to yell, make it quick. I've had a long day." He scoffed, like I'd just confirmed his worst fears. "So this is who you are now? The daughter who humiliates her own family?" I leaned against the car door, calm. "The daughter who finally said no." His jaw tightened. "You made your sister's wedding a joke, Judith." People were laughing. "Do you understand what that's done to our family's reputation?" That word again, a reputation. It was always the center of his world. The perfect image, the flawless family portrait. "I don't care about reputation," I said. "I care about respect. And none of you have shown me any for years." He took a step closer, voice rising. "We raised you better than this." I met his eyes. "No, you raised me to serve everyone else. To stay quiet. To clean up after people who never said thank you. That's not better. That's broken." The silence that followed was sharp, heavy. Cars passed behind us, their engines humming in the distance. But the world felt narrowed to just the two of us. He looked at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe because, for the first time, I wasn't shrinking under his anger. "Your mother's been crying for days," he said finally, his tone softening just slightly. "Your sister won't leave the house. You think this makes you strong? It just makes you cruel." That one hit deeper than I expected. For a split second, guilt flickered. Then I remembered the way they'd sat in that living room, planning to use me without a word. "I didn't ruin Stacy's wedding, Dad," I said quietly. "You did. You all did, when you decided my kindness was your entitlement." His mouth opened, then shut again. He had no comeback for that. I unlocked my car and pulled the door open. "If you came here to blame me, save it. I'm done being your scapegoat." His voice came low, angry. "You'll regret this someday, Judith. Family is all you have." I paused, one hand on the door, the other clutching my keys. "Then maybe you should have treated me like part of it." I slid into the car, closed the door, and drove away without looking back. That night, I sat on my apartment balcony, a glass of wine in hand, Knoxville's skyline glittering in the distance. My chest ached, but not from regret. It was something else, something cleaner. Freedom. A week passed. Then two. Silence from my parents, silence from Stacy. The only calls I got were from clients and Carol, who kept me laughing through late-night pizza and brainstorming sessions. My business was growing faster than I'd imagined. Word of mouth spread. A hotel downtown hired me to plan their summer gala. A local nonprofit asked me to coordinate their charity auction. I poured myself into every project, and with each success, I felt a little more whole. One morning, a letter arrived in the mail, handwritten, the kind of thing nobody sends anymore. The envelope was pale pink, my name written in looping script. Stacy's handwriting. I hesitated before opening it. Judith, I've been thinking a lot about what happened. You were right. We took you for granted. I was selfish and blind, and I don't blame you for walking away. The wedding fell apart because I didn't respect the person who made it possible. You did everything for me, and I laughed about it. That's on me. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I hope someday you'll let me try to make it right. Love, Stacy. My throat tightened as I read it. It wasn't perfect. It didn't erase everything, but it was real. For the first time, she'd owned her part. I folded the letter carefully and set it on the table. I didn't call her right away. I needed time, not for her to earn forgiveness, but for me to decide what forgiveness even looked like. Days turned into weeks. The holidays came, and I spent them with Carol and Aunt Beatrice, laughing over wine and pie, decorating her tree with mismatched ornaments. It wasn't the kind of Christmas I grew up with, but it felt more like home than anything had in years. On New Year's Eve, I stood in my office looking out over Market Square. The city buzzed with life, the streets strung with lights, the air cold and alive with music. My team, small but mighty, had gone home hours ago. I stayed behind, just taking it all in. This time last year, I'd been buried under someone else's expectations. Now I was building something of my own. Not for approval, not for applause, just because it mattered to me. My phone buzzed on the desk. A message from Stacy. Happy New Year, Judith. I'm proud of you. I smiled, just a small one. Typed back. Happy New Year, Stace. Hope it's a good one. No bitterness. No old weight. Just peace. I shut off the lights, stepped into the cold, and watched the fireworks bloom over Knoxville. Red, gold, white, lighting up the river like daylight. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was standing outside looking in. I wasn't the dependable daughter they leaned on or the sister who fixed everything. I was Judith Lane, a woman who finally learned that love without respect isn't love at all. And as the fireworks faded into smoke and stars, I whispered it aloud just to hear the truth of it. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped saving people who never saved me.